Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. September 15th, 2017.
The Kuhner Report, presented by Kelly Financial Services. This is the Kuhner Report.
Momentum now builds for a potential third party. Yes, the Republicans may be splintering and blowing up right in front of our eyes. Okay, my friends, so as you know, a lot to talk about today, but in a nutshell, the now relentless drive towards amnesty for DACA beneficiaries is now seriously triggering many of Trump's supporters, including Ann Coulter, and I'm going to get to her in a second, to now openly say this could be the death blow for the establishment and for the Republican Party. So here is now the absolute latest. It now appears that they are driving ahead. It is gaining more and more support in Congress, massive bipartisan support, Republicans, the Rhinos, and the Democrats, for a final package on the so-called amnesty bill for the DACA Dreamers. It is, as I said, the Dream Act. Now, here is what's going to be so far in the Dream Act. Contrary to the myths and lies being peddled by the media, the bill does not just give amnesty, and by amnesty I want to be very clear, because there's a lot of disinformation out there. They will be given green cards. Then within 5 years, not 10, 15 years, 5 years, they will then be given full citizenship and the right to vote. This is how the bill is currently constructed. It is being pushed through by Dick Durbin and by Lindsey Graham, as well as with Jeff Flake from Arizona, and it's now getting serious support from Chuck Schumer, and in the House, Nancy Pelosi and Paul Rhino Ryan. So this would give full citizenship after 5 years. Furthermore, all of these so-called amnesty dreamers would have full access to welfare, in-state tuition, EBT, cash assistance, health care benefits. In other words, cradle-to-grave welfare state and Social Security. But here's the catch. It's not going to be simply for the 800,000. In the bill right now, as it's currently constituted, it will give amnesty up to 3.7 million. It went to 2 million, and now it's up to 3.7 million. Why? Because the Dreamers' parents, the ones who brought them here, because they're the parents, they will also be given amnesty. Furthermore, the people that are eligible for DACA have to be between 16 and 30 years of age. Well, many of them have younger brothers and sisters. They're not 16 now. Many of them are 15, 14, 13, 12, 9, 10, whatever. As they get older, they will also be given amnesty. So that number then swells literally into the millions. Furthermore, because under immigration law, there is chain migration. So once you give amnesty, say, to the Dreamers and their parents, then under U.S. immigration law, and this is perfectly legal, they have the right to then sponsor family members, sponsor relatives. They will get to come here as well. The number now is at over 3 million, 3.3 million. Finally, there are 400,000 refugees, many of them from El Salvador, Honduras, some from Haiti, that are in the United States. They have been given protected refugee status. This would also give them amnesty. They would be allowed to stay here permanently. So the number now is 3.7 million. As it's now constituted, this would be by far, not even close, the biggest amnesty ever granted in American history. It blows the Reagan amnesty of 1986 out of the water. Not even close. Furthermore, a couple of myths need to be demolished, my friends, because there's a constant propaganda campaign. One of them is that these dreamers are somehow the best, the brightest, the most educated. They're the greatest. They're the greatest ever of any generation. Over 2,000 of them that we know of have committed crimes. Many of them very serious crimes. I'm talking rape, assault, murder, sex with minors, molestation of children. That the media doesn't want to tell you about. That they're just sweeping this under the rug. Furthermore, the education that they're claiming is a big lie. Only 5% of the dreamers age 18 and above, 5% actually have a 4-year college bachelor's degree. Now, others do have certain other skills. So you combine those with certain trade skills and the 4 years of college, bachelor's degree, the number then goes up to 15%. But 15% is not 50%, and it's not 70%, and it's not 90%. It's nowhere near the numbers or the impression that the Democrats and the media are giving. Even Trump himself has bought into this, saying these are young, educated, super bright people. I'm sorry, if you're going to define bright by either a college degree or a trade skill, it's 15%. 15, 1-5, not 50, 15, 1-5. That's another myth. That these are all children is another myth. The average age of these DACA beneficiaries is 26. Many of them came into this country between the ages of 12 and 18. In fact, a typical DACA beneficiary came into America, listen to this, at age 15. 15. Many of them haven't even gone to high school. Many of them don't even speak English. They refuse to assimilate. So the picture now that emerges of the so-called dreamer is the exact opposite of what the media is trying to peddle. Furthermore, they keep going on about the military and their military service. Less than 900 have served in the military or are serving in the military. In terms of percentages, it is 0.12%. It's nothing. By the way, under law, if anybody serves in the military for a stretch of period, they get a permanent residency and eventually citizenship. So there's nothing new in DACA about that. Now, I don't think we should have foreign mercenaries in the army, but the law is the law. Okay? Let that go. In other words, they're lying to us about who these so-called DACA beneficiaries are, these so-called dreamers, and the numbers that are involved. And here we cut to the chase. Leave aside the so-called dreamers for a second. How come their parents get amnesty? How come their parents get a path to legalization and citizenship and welfare benefits and health care? And how come suddenly they get rewarded for breaking the law? How come their family members get to come on chain migration and come into this country? Notice how the number now grows from 800,000 to then 1.8 million to then 2 million to then 3 million to now 3.7 million. Finally, and most importantly, according now to the Pew Research Center, they're overwhelmingly Hispanic. The dreamers and their family members are overwhelmingly Latino. They also are overwhelmingly Democrats. In fact, if you grant amnesty, I don't care if it's to 3.7 million or 3 million or 2 million, or you just keep it to the 800,000, but they won't. It's going to be at least 2 million, more likely 3, 3.3, 3.7. 70% of Latinos in America vote for the Democratic Party. 70% at a minimum. It's a 70 to 30 split. Among the illegal immigrant population, that number is over 90%. So the Paul Ryan talking points and the Jeff Flake, Lindsey Graham talking points, when they start moving up, when they start getting middle-class jobs, these are all going to be future Republicans, is a massive lie. And those 2 to 3 million, that's the ball game. Because if you give them amnesty, and they will, they're going to get it. I'm telling you, it's coming now. With the right to vote, and that's coming. Let me tell you what permanently flips. Remember, Trump only won the election overall with those key states by 70,000 votes. Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. The margin was about 100,000, 70 to 100,000. Wisconsin now becomes permanently blue. Michigan, blue. Ohio, blue. Pennsylvania, blue. It's going to lead to a permanent Democratic majority. The Republican Party is committing political hiri-kiri. They are committing political suicide. And most importantly, Trump broke his promise. Or he's on the verge of breaking his promise. He repeatedly told us, no amnesty. Under no conditions, no amnesty. And so if the Republican Party is now going to so fundamentally break its central promise to its own voters and shaft the working middle class of this country and abandon them and their core interests and values in favor of the donors and the Chamber of Commerce, what's the point of having the Republican Party? I mean, really, this party on this issue, I believe, will splinter, fragment, and Trump's base is going to blow up. And it's not even now Jeff Kuhner saying this. Listen now to Ann Coulter saying this may be the issue that breaks the Republican Party in half and leads to the creation of a new pro-America third party. Roll it, Brittany.
Why? Why is he going this direction?
Well, I guess we always knew this was a risk. He is... It was never his maturity and, deep reading that we admired about the guy. The problem was everyone else running for president wants to fling open our border, our southern border, with a big sign, free medical care, free housing, free food. The rest of the candidates were complete idiots, so of course you had to 100% support Trump. At least, Republicans, and forget Republicans, I think that brand is dead. I think the Democratic Party is basically, that brand is Black Lives Matter. It might be a great time for a third party. People forget this, but until Ross Perot started saying crazy stuff, he was ahead in the polls.
Yep.
What Trump and what my book, In Trump We Trust, established is what the popular issues are. We always knew there were flaws in his personality. And basically everything that the fancy NPR Charlie Rose types didn't like about him, that he is an unbelievably tacky vulgarian. We went into this with our eyes wide open, but he was the only one taking the positions we wanted a politician to take. So they're right there. They're just sitting there for anybody else with a little charisma to come along.
She's right. We voted for him on the issues. And it was America first. And it was on the border. It was on immigration. It was on trade. And it was on repealing Obamacare. And those were the issues that brought him to the dance. And now he is flirting with the very people and the very forces that want to abandon and betray the seminal issues and promises of his campaign. And as Ann Coulter rightly puts it, this is a potential doomsday scenario. You may actually see the rise of a third party and the Republican Party itself collapse. And so my question now to you is this. Do you think that this DACA amnesty, if it goes through, will this be the end of the Republican Party? Will it lead to its crack up? And is it now time for a third party to emerge? 1226 here on the great WRKO. Okay, the Democrats in particular now sense a potential huge victory. Many of them are already crowing. I mean, there's no deal yet. Nothing's been put on paper. But listen now to Chuck Schumer in the Senate yesterday saying, here is the outline of the agreement. Roll it, Brittany.
Now, and we're going to help in that regard, of course. Now, Mr. President, last night, Leader Pelosi and I had a constructive meeting with President Trump and several members of his cabinet. One of our most productive discussions was about the DACA program, in which we all agreed on a framework to pass DACA protections and additional border security measures excluding the wall. We agreed that the President would support enshrining the DACA protections into law. In fact, something he stated for a while needed to be done. And the President would also encourage the House and Senate to act. What remains to be negotiated are the details of border security with a mutual goal of finalizing all the details as soon as possible. While both sides agreed that the wall would not be any part of this agreement, the President made clear he intends to pursue it at a later time, and we made clear that we would continue to oppose it.
So he's not going to get his wall. But they're telling you there's no way. Ryan said the same thing. Mr. President, you may want it. You're not getting it. Now, one final quick observation, then I want to dive into the blazing phone lines. Notice when it comes to appeasing their donors, look how fast this legislation is moving. Almost at warp speed. But when it comes to our health care, when it comes to our taxes, when it comes to, let's say, the wall and our protection and our safety, blank you, it goes on and on and on. My friends, it may be time for an America First third party. Agree, disagree? Russ in Rochester, you're up first. Go ahead, Russ.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Nice talking to you once again. The reason I call for is, first of all, what happened to Americans First, and second, if Trump does this, he's, as far as I'm concerned, he's all done. He's just cut his own throat. But the main reason I called for was that there was a radio station down in the Cape, WXTK, and they announced that there was a study done by the Harvard University on the Dreamers. And there was quite a few categories. I don't remember all the categories. The one thing that stood in my mind, though, was that the study said that 73% of the Dreamers were on some type of federal assistance.
Yes.
73%.
Yes, almost three-fourths. That's correct.
Exactly.
The overwhelming majority are dependent upon the government.
Right.
That's why they're all Democratic voters, or will be Democratic voters.
Right. And that's why they want to stay in this country. I would want to stay here, too, if I was getting a free ride.
You nailed it, Russ.
It's crazy.
You nailed it. That's the truth that nobody wants to talk about. And those that do work, you know what their average salary is? Those that do work, $15 an hour. Now, what does that mean? That means that they're competing and taking away jobs from working class Americans. Americans who are struggling, make 14, 15, 16 bucks an hour. They are taking away those jobs and driving down wages. So, not only are they on welfare, the overwhelming majority are on government assistance, Medicaid, cash assistance, in-state tuition, you name it. But those that are working are actually hitting the most vulnerable Americans and stealing their jobs. They're not the dreamers. They're the parasites. 617-266-6868. More with your calls. Next.
WRKO, the voice of Boston.
The rest of the candidates were complete idiots, so of course you had to 100% support Trump. At least, Republicans, and forget Republicans, I think that brand is dead. I think the Democratic Party is basically, that brand is Black Lives Matter. It might be a great time for a third party.
1237 here on the great WRKO. Okay, many of Trump's supporters now feeling badly burned and demoralized are now saying maybe it's time to go third party. You just heard Ann Coulter. Let me ask you, if they go ahead with this massive DACA big amnesty, will this break the Republican Party apart? And should a third party, an America First party, a nationalist party, a populist party, a conservative party, whatever you want to call it, emerge from the rubble? Is it time to go third party? 617-266-6868. Lines are blazing. Ray in Cambridge. Go ahead, Ray.
Jeffrey!
Hi, Ray.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Jeffrey, you're getting upset here. And now let me calm you down a little bit.
Okay.
First of all, what our dear president is doing is called negotiation. Don't think for 1 minute he's going to sign something that stupid. It's not going to happen, I'll tell you right now. I happen to know, I've known the guy for many years. I know how he negotiates. Next thing is, you can get a 2-for-1 special here. You want to start a third party? How about renovating the one we've already got? Get rid of the Bush rhinos in the Republican Party, and then you'll have a party that's functional. It's that simple.
Ray, when you say you know Trump, you were construction? You did construction with the guy? Or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was doing construction and a few other things. And I happened to run into his writing and stuff like that and his personality.
So, Ray,
in 1978.
What you're saying, Ray, is let's see the final agreement.
You got it.
And give the president a chance. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. Thanks for that call, Ray. I appreciate it. Daniel in Cambridge. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Daniel? Can you please turn your radio down?
It's not on. I'm just on my phone.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm hearing noise in the background. I'm sorry. Go ahead. The floor is yours. Go, Daniel.
Thanks. I don't know if you remember me, but I'm the 30-year-old Jewish law student. I called you over the summer.
Yes. You're one of our brightest students.
Thank you. Learning from you. So, I'm calling because of something else that I think everyone's overlooking regarding DACA, Schmaka, or all the other, even having anyone here who's not a citizen.
Well, Kaka. Let's call it Kaka.
I like that one, Kaka. Some Yiddish. Okay. So, do you know that aliens, whether they are legal or illegal, are included in the U.S. Census?
I did not know that.
They are.
They are.
And this is why this is very important. Because every 10 years, I think the next one's 2018 or something, basically whenever they do the census, what they're doing is they're redistricting all the states. Out of a total of 435 representatives in the House and Congress, you get that, they proportion those reps to the states in proportion to their proportion of the population out of that census, okay? I don't know if you see where I'm going.
Yes, I hear exactly where you're going with this.
A state gets more representatives in the House, in Congress,
the bigger their population
in their state, regardless if those people in that state are legally there or not. Case in point, California, of course.
So you want to load up the states with illegals because that gives you more clout in Congress, correct?
Yes. It doesn't even matter if they're illegal, though. They can be on a permanent residence, but let's just stay with illegal because that's, at least not legal. So you can stop that. So, but the secondary point of this is that, so not only do you get more representatives in the House and Congress, and thus you can have a bigger impact on legislation that's passed, but again, where do you get the number of electoral votes for a state from? Well, it's equal to how many reps you have in Congress, in the House.
So that also influences the presidential election and the Electoral College.
Exactly. And I just thought of this the other day, because I didn't know they were counted in the census, and I found out they were, and I said, well, that definitely influences a lot of other things. And because of that, this destroys any idea of the compassionate argument. I mean, for any of these things, whether they're here or not, they should not be counted in. You can want to count them in the census or terms of population, whatever, but they should not have any impact on representation in Congress or the Electoral College. I think anyone can agree on that. Even my lefty friend in San Francisco agreed with me on that.
Daniel, brilliant. Now let me ask you this then.
We didn't bring this up because no one knows.
Brilliant.
No
I'm telling you, absolutely.
absolutely.
I'm telling you right now, you have I'm telling you, you're gonna have a brilliant law career in front of you. I'm telling you this right now. Let me ask you one further question, though. You're completely right about the census, the influence on the clout in Congress, legislation, and the Electoral College.
Yeah.
But they're going to get, many of them, how many, but we'll see, many of them are going to get eventually amnesty and citizenship. Do you think that down the road, this is going to make the Democrats essentially a permanent majority?
Yes. Oh, that's the goal. I mean, that's certainly the goal of it. And the problem is that they don't. Here's my point though with the census is that they don't even have to vote. Again, just
bringing them in gives them extra clout.
A lot more. So one study I saw on this from 2000 showed that California got an extra 6 electoral votes than they would have gotten. And not only does it give a state more electoral votes than it should get, but again, it's only out of the pizza only has 435 slices. So if one state has more slices than they should get, that dilutes the amount of slices for other states.
Brilliant.
You get what I'm saying?
Daniel, when are you going to graduate?
May 2018.
Okay.
I'm a 3L. But there's one more part to the redistricting, but I can make it as quick as I can.
Okay, go, quick.
Is that, so let's just use Massachusetts as the example. We have 9 districts, okay?
Yes.
4 of them are in the Boston area. Because when they do the redistricting, they say, okay, Massachusetts gets 9 districts, you get 9 reps. What they do is they take the state of Massachusetts, and this is where the whole gerrymandering stuff comes in, but it's not really that important. Anyways, they carve up Massachusetts into 9 districts, trying to have an equal population in each district, okay? Obviously, most people in Massachusetts, the majority, live in the Boston area.
Yes.
Hence how we get districts like Boston, Brookline, Somerville, and Melrose, but we only have 1 district in the western part of the state for Springfield that comes from the west part of Massachusetts all the way to Worcester. So what happens? Where do most illegals live? Where do most Democrats live?
In the city, in Boston, the greater Boston area.
And that gives them more representation in Congress that's not proportional to their actual voting population. This is representation without voting power. Do you get what I'm saying?
Daniel, listen, buddy, I love you in a non-sexual way. When you graduate, when you graduate in May, you become officially your practicing lawyer. You're going to become my lawyer, okay?
I'm going to hold you to that.
I'm telling you right now, you're my lawyer. I need a lawyer, you're my lawyer.
We have a contract.
All right, call me, my friend.
Thank you.
All right.
Spread that message. It's important.
Daniel, you hit the nail on the head. God bless you. It's all about raw political power. The Democrats are bringing in votes, and so why are the Republicans backing this? Remember I said $15 an hour? That's what they basically, if they do work, they want cheap labor. So the Democrats want the cheap votes, and the Republicans want the cheap labor, and their special interests are satisfied. And you, the American people, us, the deplorables, blank you. Judy in Waltham. Go ahead, Judy.
Hi. There's one point no one has mentioned. It's about compassion. These so-called innocent students, young people, they know, if you saw how publicly they've come out against Trump. They know how to get in the public. They're not innocent. They knew and know their parents were illegal and were gambling on the advantages of being a child of an illegal. Now, all you have to do is compare, and I'm saying it doesn't affect me, the same age group of legal kids, and compare the benefits that illegals who know they're illegal are getting. This is not what America is about. This is not compassion for Americans who are legal. I'm more concerned about that than I am the wall, because we know Trump would have difficulty. That is a given. Also, with regard to Ann Coulter, what I don't like about her is we are talking on a talk show. She's out in public. It does a lot of damage when she's talking about something that hasn't happened to us. She should be talking to Trump and his advisors, and then when it happens. decry it.
Judy, thank you very much for that call. Look, there's now a lot of stories coming out that General Kelly is blocking the flow of information, or at least trying to as much as he can, and he doesn't want Trump to know the explosion, the backlash from his base. So the negative coverage, in other words, that Breitbart calling him Amnesty Dawn, the attacks on him from his own supporters saying, don't do this. Kelly is restricting the flow of information. He's now just giving him the articles from the New York Times, the Hill newspaper, the Wall Street Journal, saying, oh, a stroke of bipartisan genius. Oh, Trump's bringing the country together. So his advisors around him, Jared Kushner, Ivanka, General Kelly, they don't want him to know how much this is angering and alienating his base. And to be fair to Ann Coulter, I think that's why she's doing the media round saying, Mr. President, I'm ringing the alarm bell, the fire bell in the night. You signed this. I don't care what your advisors are telling you. You're going to have a mutiny on your hands. 617-266-6868. Chris in Boston. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. So, big Trump supporter, but I think what he was able to fish out is that we're already paying for these people, and they already are voting. So if this is an opportunity to stop the bleeding, I don't see why it's not a bad thing to go off and investigate. Obviously, we need to see the end of the deal, but I think this is just an opportunity to stop having this conversation over and over. I'll hang up and get your thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, Chris, hold on. Sorry. I just want to clarify what you're saying. So you think what is he doing exactly? He's flushing out the issue, having people focus on who these so-called dreamers are, and his end game is what?
What I'm saying is I think we're already paying for these people, and I think they're already finding ways to vote.
Okay.
So if we can see what the deal ends up being, there could be potential to fix the issue moving forward. So take what we already have here, end the conversation, give the Democrats something they want, so we can start focusing on some of the things that we need, more specifically tax reform. Okay. I see that as a
tax cuts.
As a runway moving forward.
Okay, let me ask you this, though, Chris. You almost asked my question, but I want to ask you. What do you think Trump should demand in return? In other words, the wall, right? Hello, Chris?
The wall, for sure. The
yeah,
wall,
I mean,
sure.
See, that's me. I'm like, I don't like this, don't get me wrong, but if that's the price to get a big, beautiful wall and maybe E-Verify, in other words, real serious immigration reform, I could maybe swallow this one. My understanding, though, Chris, is that he's going to give them this with little in return. We'll see, but that's what it looks like. And he's going to kick the can down the road. And to me, you're losing leverage. I mean, this is major leverage. You don't just throw that away. Am I wrong?
Those are assumptions, in that if it is the way Schumer says it is, then you would be right. I just think it's unfair to see what else comes out of it until we really know. I think this is an opportunity, since we're already paying for them. They're already voting. So why not just stop having this conversation over and move forward and put language in this deal to prevent this from happening again 10, 20 years from now?
Chris, thank you very much for that call. Very thoughtful call. Let's go to Tom no, okay, hold on. We're going to hold on. Brittany, I got to tell you, is really kicking some serious rear end. Boy, Brittany, you are really cracking the whip today. Boy, you are, you're really, she's asserting herself today. Okay, I got a break, but I'll be right back. 617-266-6868. Is Ann Coulter right? Tom in New Jersey, you're up next, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, God bless you, red, white, and blue to you.
Thank you, Tom.
Jeff, you're welcome. Jeff, I smell that we're getting snookered here. Hey, Jeff, that wall should be partially built already. We're 8 months out, and we haven't even broken ground, and we're going to put the wall on the back burner, and we're talking about DACA. This is unacceptable, Trump. You got to break ground and get that stinking wall built. Either take it out of Homeland Security, take it out of the military budget, or let's start a fund, Jeff. Let's start a private fund. we'll all kick in money and we'll just build the stinking thing. And it's time. Red, white, and blue party, Jeff. You could spearhead it. We're getting snookered. My patience is finished.
Tom, thank you for that call. We could privately raise the money. I'm not kidding. Trump supporters, all of us together, if we teamed up, with other talk show hosts or whatever, we could put together, everybody pitches in $20, $50, $100, whatever. We could raise the 10, 12, $15 billion. Yeah, you want the money? Here's the money. Now you're the great builder. No, I'm serious. You get a good contractor. You know how to do these things. And what do you want it done in a year? It was 18 months. Let's have it on budget, on time, and let's go. So don't rely on Congress. You want the wall. Hell, we'll help you fund the wall. Daria in Ohio. Go ahead, Daria.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jeff Kuhner. How are you?
I get very nervous, Daria, when you say Mr. Kuhner.
Very, very good.
Please call me Jeff. You're not with the IRS, are you?
No, sir, I am not.
No, that's sir. Oh, that's making me even more nervous. I'm not that important, Daria. Go ahead, shoot.
Okay, here. I ran across something that I think you will find useful for both yourself and the listeners.
Okay.
It was published yesterday by the Golden State Times. It is a 5-minute segment of video and audio tape. I wanted to send it to you because it is President Trump speaking, and he is clarifying his positions on DACA and the wall. And honest to God, this makes so much more sense now that I actually heard what he has to say about it. So I wanted to send it to you.
Daria, I've got a minute. I'm going to keep you on. Please don't leave. I'll have you speak to Brittany. But just, you have a minute. What does he say?
He basically says that he absolutely is going to do that wall. He absolutely is going to not talk about amnesty. He absolutely is not talking about several of the different things that were worrisome to us as far as it being. It's not anywhere near as bad as what I thought. And so I thought I'd send it to you.
Daria, thank you very much. Stay on the line. Brittany will talk to you. I think it's the comments that I saw yesterday as well. I'll see. I think it's a bit of spin. I mean, I'm a little skeptical, but look, we'll see. I'm agnostic. I want to see the final agreement. All I'm telling the Mr. President is this: don't do an amnesty. Don't do it. Just my advice. Okay, will Trump be impeached? Ann Coulter says yes. That story, don't touch the dial.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 1 o'clock.